Here we go again, ladies and gents.
Now a word from our sponsors.
Let me go ahead and address this and get this out of the way, okay? And I want to put this on record. I want to have what I have to say on record before I even get into the meat of what I want to talk about tonight. Of course, everyone knows, everybody and their mama knows that Brother Corey and I, we're not rocking anymore regarding basically the whole John MacArthur situation. I mean, it just is what it is. John MacArthur, him caping for John MacArthur, him defending John MacArthur, and then now his testimony is questionable, i.e. Corey Minor's testimony is questionable based on the facts, on what he publicly admitted what he did as a Christian, as a pastor, as an officer of the local church at the time when he was stealing money from people under his investment company, Christ Minor Investments. And these are things that he publicly admitted that he did, aside from also committing adultery against his wife. He said these things. He made these statements on his own channel. No one coerced him. No one twisted his arm. No one waterboarded him. No one pulled his toenails out one by one to make him confess and admit that he did these things. He publicly said these things. Now, why am I bringing this up? I just want to state this and be done with it, because what I have strived to do, I'm not going to go back and forth about this issue. I've said what I needed to say regarding Corey Minor, and my position has not changed at all. My position has not changed, and it probably won't change unless there's something else that needs to be amended. My position needs to change based on truth, but what I presented to you all was the truth and is the truth. So I do understand, and I do know that there are videos, and most recently, Corey has put out a video, and from what I was told, I refuse to even watch it. That's how far removed I am from Corey regarding this, and I'm going somewhere with this, but just bear with me about what I have to say. For me, we all, yes, have a past. The jury's been back on that. No one is even arguing that. Having a past is one thing, but what we do as believers, as Christians, we all have to give an account to what we do in this body, ultimately to God, and sometimes to each other, depending on the nature of the offense. So when I make these statements, I'm not making these statements from sitting at upon some ivory tower, looking down upon anybody or nothing like that. The same standard applies to Corey, applies to me, applies to all of us. We are ambassadors for Christ, and we're to represent him. Him meaning Christ, and we're to represent him as faithful as we can by the grace and Spirit of God. But when we sin, or if we sin in the magnitude or in the manner that Corey Minor has confessed to doing, whether it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever the case might be, if we claim to be Christians at that time, then this is what we are held to a standard. We are held to a standard. And the standard is not me. The standard is not you. The standard is not the mob. The standard is not YouTube. The standard is not social media. The standard is in the scriptures. Period. That is the standard and only standard by which we as Christians are to submit ourselves to. So, if I said I stole money, or if I said that I've committed adultery, if I said that I've done any of these things that would disqualify me as a pastor and as a minister, then it is what it is. Now, ironically, a year ago, Corey had no problem making those same dogmatic statements that he made about John MacArthur. Not that John MacArthur stole or committed adultery, but he said John MacArthur was disqualified because of his mistreatment of an abuse survivor, Eileen Gray. And that's just one of the cases. Now, things have changed. Not things have changed in the sense of we have information that would exonerate or that would declare John MacArthur to be innocent. No, things have changed, i.e. Corey Minor's position has changed. And how has it changed? Well, he has not, to my knowledge. He has not given a biblical reason why he has flipped and changed his position regarding his defense of John MacArthur. And when pressed and when held to that standard by which now Corey has to give an answer to, his prison story came up. Not from me, not from others that I know. Corey brought his own prison story, his prison history back up to the forefront and used that as a shield or a buffer, or I would just say a deflection from dealing with the real issue. And what was one of the real issues? Well, one of the real issues was in the form of a question that David Collins had posed on Corey Minor's channel when Corey had publicly came out and defended John MacArthur. And so we all know the story. We all know the question. Would you attend Grace Community Church of Eileen Gray with your daughter? And we all know the infamous answer that Corey Minor gave. And when that answer was not in alignment with the scriptures, but was more so in alignment with a biased view in support and defense of a man, i.e. John MacArthur, who should step down because he has not been shepherding God's flock faithfully, as we now realize, Corey defended him. And defended him to the point of saying, well, that David Collins could not use that as an example because he would have skin in the game if it were his daughter. Now, this is the same Corey Minor that claims that he wants to be a pastor, but how can you be a pastor if you've been disqualified? Now, this is also the same Corey Minor that would use scripture, and rightly so at the time, to say it didn't matter how long ago it was, these qualifications, this is what Corey Minor has said on his own channel. And Corey, you know I got the receipts, but I'm not even going to produce them anymore because I've already produced them. It's on my videos. Y'all can check them out yourself. You said y'all have your own mouth, Corey, that a pastor's qualifications is not just one time. He must constantly be remaining qualified. These were your words. And you cited 1 Timothy 3. Verses 1 through 7, Titus 1, 5 through 9, 1 Peter chapter 5, verses 1 through 5. You cited 1 Timothy 3, and what changed? Out of your own mouth, you said a pastor must remain qualified in these things. So based on your own testimony, Corey, you're not qualified. You're not qualified, biblically speaking. Now, I do understand and I do know that churches, local churches, they have autonomy to do what they want. But based on your standard and based on your own words, you said pastor must be qualified. And if they're not, then these are the things that would disqualify them. So Corey, based on your own testimony, you're disqualified. As a pastor, as a Christian, you admitted that you stole and that you cheated people out of their money and you cheated against your wife. You said that. I didn't say that. You said that. So I'm not misrepresenting you. I'm not slandering you. I'm not saying any of these things against you. So for you to continue to make videos and try to throw shots at me, okay.
We see Say doing it again. He conflates, obfuscates, and outright lies. He is quick to nail Corey for his past sins but will explain away his own sins. He actually teaches that his past marriages don't count because he wasn't a Christian. Though at other times he says he was in fact a Christian. If Corey is not qualified, neither is Say, period. He had guests on his show going over Clee's court case, but he claims that he didn't bring up Clee's jail testimony. Why is it that Say will contradict himself time over time? You do remember his rule on secular music, right? He just talked about the Janet concert. Dodgy. Did you hear him talking about church again? How is it that Cypress, Texas is full of so many bad churches? When will his supporters realize that it's say that's the problem, not the particular church? Here we go again, ladies and gents.
All right, I'm out. Y'all have a good night. Y'all know the drill. Whatever you do, do all to the glory and honor of God. God bless.